Okay, we are recording. So, good morning. So, Isru Chag Sameach. I don't know. I'm sure everyone in America just still has their cheesecake in their stomach, and everyone's kind of not really in the mood. Shabbos, oh my gosh, just have 2 days, now back to Shabbos. But thank God, things are okay. So this parsha, if you weren't sure long enough yesterday and the day before, we have a long parsha tomorrow. So Nasso, the longest parsha of the year, as we know. And we're kind of in the kivan, we're kind of in the process of moving towards Eretz Yisrael, even though, unbeknownst to them, but known to us, they're not going to make it there for another while. But they think they're going. They really think they're going. And they're counting, and they got the numbers, and they got the direction supposed to camp. And there's optimism going on there. And one of the mitzvahs is nazir, but really, nazir really doesn't really belong here, but belongs here because sota belongs here. As we're traveling, one of the things to kind of make sure that people are tahar, talk about a zav, we talk about mitzvah already, and a sota also. We want to be careful that the men and women, we're trying to make sure that we're traveling, but in tahara, make sure people kind of stick to their wives and their husbands, that kind of thing, their own wives, their own husbands. And Nazir is kind of a aftermath of that, because you see the sota, you're going to say, oh my God, that's the worst thing. This husband can't trust the wife, and they can't be with each other. They may have to drink the sota water, and she's going to die. Maybe the paramour, maybe he'll die. So it's a big situation. So the son says, oh, this is just the worst thing in the world. I'm not going to do this. And you know what? I'm done with wine. So I think Nazir is here really because sota's here. And that's Azai. So we talk about Nazir, mentioned this a bunch of times before. We have mixed feelings about this Nazir guy. Good or bad? Good or bad? Is it a good thing to be a Nazir? Is it a bad thing to be a Nazir? It sounds like, from the surface, it's a really good thing. If someone sees bad things happening, if wine could lead to such horrible things, a man with another man's wife, if that's the byproduct of getting drunk and drinking, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to have wine. I'm done with that. So sounds like it's a good thing. Sounds like it's a good thing. Maybe we shouldn't have wine altogether. Maybe Pesach we'll just have grape juice, and maybe Shabbos Kiddush we'll just have grape juice, like in Israel, just grape juice. Maybe that's a good thing. And the truth is, the Rambam calls the person Kodesh. He's serving Avodas Hashem. It's a very important thing. And the Torah calls him Kodesh. Calls him Kodesh. So sounds like it's a good thing. The problem is, there's also a Rambam that says that this is not a good thing because he's called a Choteh. Because after he's Tameh, or after he finishes the Nazirus, the Kohen eats from the carbon of the Choteh, the sinner. And there's a famous Gemara in Nazir, Elazar HaKaper, calls him a sinner, a Choteh. And the Kli Yakar really goes on this point as well. It calls him a sinner. And the point is, because we're here in this world not to kind of run away from things that are temptations for us. We're supposed to fight the temptation. And someone who can't fight that's a bad sign. Because you have enough, as Kli Yakar would say, there's enough things in the Torah to put you on the right path with 365 low sases, 248 ases, the other way around. There's enough averos and mitzvos. You don't have to add things on to you. There's enough things to keep you on the straight and narrow. Now to start adding on low sases and usher things, internet should be usher, computers are usher, going to the movies are usher, driving is usher, going to the radio maybe usher, wearing jeans, all these, you can just add on, you sort them to yourself, and that's really not what the purpose of this world is. Okay, but still we have a problem, because the Rambam himself calls him Avodas Hashem, and he calls him a Choteh. So if you want to believe that he's Kodesh, that's great. You don't call him a Choteh, that's great as well. But how could it be that he's both? That's the question. And the Siva Shalom kind of takes the point of the Kli Yakar and kind of expands on this point, I believe, with a little bit of a wrinkle to it. The fact that, yes, a Nazir could be holy and he could be a sinner. How is that talking about? So the Siva Shalom says it's quite simple. There are two different types of people. Aha! Two different types of people. Someone who can kind of work within the framework of the way Hashem created the world, and one person who really can't even function in that world. He goes to plan B. What am I talking about? Plan A is to literally look at the world and believe that everything could be elevated to Hashem. And this is literally what the Mesilas Shalom in the Sefer of the Ramchal talks about. That's the purpose of the world. Hashem put things in the world that on the surface are horrible things and bad things. So the question is, why does Hashem put this here? Why does Hashem put rot in the world? Why does Hashem put the internet in the world? If things are so bad, if cars are so bad, you can drive to horrible places and do horrible things, why do we have cars in the world? Well, the point is Hashem put things in the world that you elevate it. And that's really the purpose of the world. Our purpose of the world, our goal is not to run away from things. Our goal of the world is not to shake off, it's not air, to kind of shake things off and just usher these things and move ahead. No. The ideal thing is to elevate things, whether it's your cell phones, whether it's the internet, everything, your car, your computer, everything's supposed to elevate it, everything you can. That's really the ideal thing to do. And that's plan A. So that's the best thing. So a person who can actually get to that level and can work within these confines and actually drink wine and not go bananas with it. Drink wine and have a Suda. Drink wine at a bris. Drink wine at a Sudas mitzvah, at a siyum. That's what Hashem wants to do. Hashem put wine in the world to enjoy, taste good. Each wine is different. Each region's different. Each day it tastes a little different. The oxygen level. Wine is an incredible thing. I don't appreciate it as much as other people, but so these things in the world to elevate and enjoy, and that's the ideal stage. So that person, that's for him to now usher wine to be a nazir, he's the sinner. Plan B, a person who really can't do it, a person who really, any type of wine, he's abusive, any type of wine, he just goes things that are against what Hashem wants. Any type of thing in this world, he can't fight the Yetzer Hara, he's tried. For that person, there's a plan B. For that person, he can actually, I'm a nazir from it. And again, it's not just wine. You can literally asr anything on yourself. And that's, for that person, that's considered holy work. That's considered holy work. And we see this, and that's when Sefer Shalom talks about. That plan A is to do what Hashem really wants, is to elevate things in the world. So for that person, being a nazir is not a good thing. But some people, unfortunately, really have to stay away from these things, or else the Yetzer Hara is really going to mess them up good. Then that person stays away, and that person is called a Kodesh and is doing Avodas Hashem. And this idea plays pretty well with the story in the Gemara in Nazir of Shimon HaTzadik. Shimon HaTzadik wasn't a fan of people being a Nazir because people are doing it for bad reasons. You know what? I can show how great I am. I want to show how tahor I am. I have long hair, and I have to go to funerals. So Shimon HaTzadik wasn't a fan that when people would be a nazir and they become tamei, he would have to eat from their karban. He never did, except for once. And the story is he sees a boy, beautiful looking boy with really long hair, and he asks what his story was. And the kid says, I'm just a kid, maybe he was a teenager, I don't know. He says, I looked in the mirror once when I was looking in the river and I saw my reflection, and I said, I'm gonna have a rough life because I'm very good looking and I'm always gonna have these temptations to do really bad things and with other people. And you know what? Let me just cut my losses. Let me just stop right now. Let me be a nazir. I'll grow my hair long and I'll look kind of weird and my beard's gonna be crazy. And Rav Shimon HaTzadik kissed him on the head, and he actually ate his karban, and he said, all Nazirim should be like you. That's a proper thing. So a person really has to kind of understand this. And that's each person in their own way. If you're someone who can actually fight and elevate things, then your job is to elevate, and that's the ideal thing. If you're the person that has tried and failed at working through these levels, then it may be a good idea to kind of usher things. I'm saying to literally usher things, but to stay away from things. Shabbat Shalom.